Finally, you have received that email that you have been waiting for. We are pleased to inform you that your application has been successful and you have been invited for an interview. Congratulations, I'm so happy for you. You did that. Congrats on securing that interview. But now, what next? How are you going to ace that interview? What should you expect? Not to worry, I'm here for you. Hi guys, my name is Shoaib Batsure and I'm a Nigerian trained medical doctor currently working in the NHS. And in this video, I'm going to share some tips on how to ace your NHS job interview. Okay, so once again, I'm going to be partial to doctors because that's my own first-hand experience, but I believe these tips apply, irrespective of the kind of job you're looking for in the NHS. So sit back, relax, and I hope you enjoy this video. So let's dive right into it. So on the day of your interview, when you start the interview, they usually introduce themselves, so do some ID check to find out if you are the candidate they're supposed to be interviewing, and then they will let you know that the interview will be divided into different sections, where one section where they will ask you some questions, usually 4 types of questions, and then an opportunity for you to ask them some questions and ask for feedback if you want, and then the interview ends. So this usually lasts for about 15 to 20 minutes or about 30 minutes if it's time allows, but it's not a really long process. Okay, the 4 major questions that you will be asked in the interview include: 1, tell us about yourself, or walk me through your CV, or just run us through your CV. Now, the best way to answer this question is to use a very systematic approach and divide your answer into sections. So you can start by talking about your educational background, your qualifications, and then move on to talk about your job experiences, your professional qualifications, and then talk about your personal achievements, your goals, your dreams, and how you are a perfect fit for this job. Okay, so it's an opportunity to sell yourself as a candidate and make them know why you qualify for this job. So don't be very generic and say, my name is Shoaib Batsure, I am a graduate. That's boring. Okay, you don't need to talk about your name and stuff like that, or whether you are from this village or that village. Just go straight to the professional stuff, so the educational background, job experiences, and stuff like that, and really sell yourself so they know that you are a perfect fit for this job. Okay, now the second part of the interview will be an ethical question. So they usually ask you something relating to ethics. So for my own interview, they asked me, what would you do if a colleague shows up to work drunk? So if you've prepared for PLAB 2, you know how these ethical stations usually go. So approach it in that same vein. You should be seen putting the safety of the patient first. So you should say it as part of your response that your interest would be the safety of the patient. The drunk doctor is not going to think of that. It's going to put the patient at risk. So you should be saying something like that. Then the approach is usually to talk to your colleague first before escalating to a senior, a consultant, or management, as the case may be. So follow this approach to answer your ethical question. Make sure you are using the guidelines provided to answer these questions. Okay, it could be any type of scenario. There are usually so many, so prepare for an ethical scenario. Okay, the third part of the interview will be a clinical scenario. So they are going to ask you a clinical scenario relevant to the department that you are applying for. So anything clinical, so it could be an acute setting or a non-acute setting. So remember, for your acute setting, you have to think about the ABCD of resuscitation, incorporate that into your answer. And then for non-acute settings, don't forget your assessment of the patient from history, examination, investigations, and then the treatment/management. Okay, so just have a pattern. Be organized so that you can answer this question. There is no way you can predict, oh, this is what they are going to ask me. They are going to ask me about a patient that came with fever. It's not possible. So just have like a template, a pattern you can use that would help answering these questions easier. So that would be the third part of the interview. The next part is research and audit. So they're going to ask you, tell us about any research or audit project you've been involved in. So this can be anything. So for us international medical graduates, the concept of audit is a bit strange because you don't really get to do audits. If I'm being honest, audit was strange to me. So when I got here, I realized that what is an audit like? When I started preparing for my own interview, that was when I, figured it out. Okay, so if you've not done an audit, you can talk about the research you've done, either as an undergraduate or a postgraduate student if you did masters. So personally, I talked about the project I did for my dissertation for my master's in public health. So you can do something like that. You can even talk about a quality improvement project, something you did to improve the quality of care in the hospital you worked as a medical officer during your NYSC, or even as a house officer. Okay, you can use that. But if you've done an audit, feel free to talk about the audit process step by step and how, there'll be a re-audit in 6 months if you've not gotten to the end of the audit process. Okay, so talk about it confidently. Make sure you know most of the details about the research, the importance, the aims, the goals, and if you actually achieved those goals or what you found out from your research. Okay, so those are the 4 main parts of the interview, from the tell me about yourself or walk us through your CV question to an ethical question, a clinical question, and then a question about research and audit. Okay, so make sure you're fluent and you leave a good impression on your interviewer. Okay, now they'll give you an opportunity to ask them a question or questions. It's always good to have at least 3 to 5 questions to ask your interviewer, depending on how much time is left. Okay, so some of the questions to ask should be related to the job itself, the trust, the environment, stuff like that. That shows that you're actually interested in the job. All right. So some good examples include, can you tell me what it's like working for this NHS trust? What has been your experience working for this NHS trust? What is the work environment like in this NHS trust? Those are good questions. You can also talk about what are the challenges associated with this role. Are there any opportunities for research or teaching in this job role? Those are kind of questions that you ask to show that you are thinking about, the job role itself. Then you can ask some more like proby hard questions that kind of like shows if you can accept criticism. Okay, so something like, how do I compare to other candidates you've interviewed for this role? Is there anything that I can clarify, after this interview today? Like, is there anything during this interview that you would like me to clarify? Then you can just ask, is there any reason why you think I'm not a good fit for this job? Those very direct kind of proby questions, so that you can find out if there's anything you can add to improve your chances of landing this job. Okay, so the goal is to make a good impression on your interviewer. Don't go and start asking about pay or leave or pension. No, that's not the time to ask those kind of questions. And don't say, no, I don't have any questions. Oh, no, everything is fine. Please always ask a question. Even if it's one you remember, ask a question so that you can leave a good impression and so you stand out from other candidates. Okay, so this is what the interview is really about, and then they'll thank you, and that's the end of the interview. All right, so I'm going to just share some tips that you can use that will help you ace said interview. Now, the very first one is to prepare well and prepare in advance. So once they've given you a date for the interview, start your preparation. There are so many resources out there. YouTube is one of them. You can just type NHS interview, help with passing an interview, how to talk about yourself, something like that in the search bar, and loads of videos will come out. So please make use of the resources online and prepare well for the interview. You can also read about the trust that you are interviewing for to help you, get into the conversation and know some details when they are talking about them. Okay. The next thing is to dress well, look smart, look neat. Okay. Look sharp. All right. So that you can make a good impression to your interviewer. All right. Very important. No matter what kind of interview it is, if it's in person, if it's virtual, dress well, look nice. It is important. Now, the last tip is to be confident. Confident, not arrogant. Okay, you don't want to come off as arrogant or cocky. Okay, so be confident in what you're saying. Try not to stutter too much. Don't be flinging your hands up and down like me. All right, stay composed. Act like you know what you're talking about. It also shows that you've prepared for the interview and you take it quite seriously. All right, so stay confident. Don't be arrogant when you're talking about yourself or like, hyping yourself. All right, just keep it steady, balance it out with some humility, and show them that you are the best candidate for the job. Okay, so I hope these tips help and I hope you land your next job in the NHS. If you've just gone through an interview, can you drop in the comment section and tell us how it went? If you have any tips for others looking to, pass their NHS interview, kindly drop in the comment section. And I believe we'll all learn from you as well and grow together as a community. All right. If you find value in this video, kindly give it a thumbs up and share it to anyone that you think will benefit as well. Subscribe if you haven't, if you're watching to this point. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate all my subscribers. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.